All right, good morning, everyone. And welcome to my space. My name is Sunday Okafo. I want to especially welcome you to this space today, where we'll be talking about graduate school funding opportunities in the USA. And I have with me my co-host, Motorani Zainab Shonivario. We'll be talking about different opportunities and how you can access graduate school funding opportunities in the US, the process, the strategies, everything possible that you need to know about accessing opportunities in the USA. So I want to welcome you, and I will be laying down some principles of how, some modalities or housekeeping of how we're going to conduct the activities today. And you can also follow the discussion with the hashtag #OkaforSpace to ask questions, and also you can come up to ask your question as we proceed on this page. You can request for the mic if you want to make contributions, if you want to ask questions based on what we're discussing, you can do that. But I want to let us know that discussion is basically focused on USA, admission, funding, scholarship, everything about USA. That's what we're discussing today. We're not going to talk about other parts of the world because we want to make sure that we are focused on the main discussion for today. So without taking much time, let me quickly introduce myself properly for the benefit of those who are listening to me for the first time on any platform. My name is Sunday Okafo. I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Alabama. My research area is in transportation engineering, and I work in the area of safety, transportation safety, mobility, inclusive mobility, and all that. So I'll be allowing my co-host to introduce herself before we start the discussion and every other thing. Otolani, it's my pleasure to have you join me on this space. I want you to introduce yourself and blow your own trumpet. If you didn't blow it very well, I'm going to blow it for you. So what you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Sunday. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here today. So thank you so much for having me. For me to begin introducing myself, my name is Zainab Shunivario. I recently defended my PhD last Friday, which is like less than a week. Oh, I think it's a week already. So like an early stage doctor. And yeah, I think some of you must have seen the tweets, which kind of like circulated for a little bit. So thank you so much. And to introduce myself, I had my PhD from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, where my research focus was in cancer. And so my background being in biomedical sciences, it is kind of like flexible, meaning that people from different fields are able to like find a space to this. And so my journey in graduate school or the application process makes it more relatable to other people. If you have your background either in like biochemistry or in genetics, genomic, immunology, pharmacy, pharmacology, it is very broad and it is inclusive to different fields like that. A little bit about myself is that I had my undergrad in Nigeria, and so I'm very aware of the challenges navigating the US admission process and finding funding opportunity, especially as an international student. And I hope that the discussions we're going to have today will be able to share some light into how to navigate this and answer any relevant question you have. So thank you so much once again, and thank you for having me, Sunday.
Thank you so much, Dr. Motolani. I can confidently call you that. So it's a pleasure to have you join me on this space. What we'll be doing today is we're going to take you through the process of seeking for opportunities, graduate school opportunities in the USA. Just as Motolani said, I'm also from Nigeria. I did my undergraduate in Nigeria. My bachelor's in civil engineering in Nigeria. When I graduated, I observed my national youth service the same year, luckily for me. And during that, my youth service was when I started, exploring scholarship opportunities outside the country. And I was able to get the Commonwealth Share Scholarship, which I used to do for my master's in the UK. And after that was when in the UK was when I want to do my PhD in the US, and I started looking out for opportunities and ways to get funding to sponsor my PhD program. And here we are today discussing about how you can, mic or look out. Okay, can you mute your mic, please?
Oh, okay.
So, we are here discussing about different opportunities of how you can, search for these funding opportunities, which are very widely open, available in the US, but most people are not aware of it. Like I always say on my tweet that US is like the headquarters of funding opportunities globally. They have more funding than any country can think of, because there are multiple public-private institutions in the US than any other country. We have over 4,000 public universities in the US, and the fundings are always there just for you to sit down and do your research and search for the programs. And any program you can think of, there is a school, there's an institution that can fund that. So we'll be talking about the process based on shared experiences, based on our own experience, based on research that we have done. We're going to be providing those basic insights for you, and then we'll be taking your questions. Based on those questions, we are going to be elaborating more on those different opportunities. So today, basically, I will give a brief overview of the processes, and then I'll bring on Motolani to elaborate more on that. So basically, in the US, there are different ways you can seek for funding in the US, and those ways are peculiar to your own profile. For instance, we always say that even if you have you have third class, you don't have to be a first class holder, you don't have to be a 2-1 holder, you don't have to be a bachelor holder. You can have your HND, you can use your HND to get into even a PhD program. We have seen a lot of people who have done that, right? So US is a country that gives opportunities to everybody. As long as you can prove that you have what it takes to succeed in that program, you can, you have the chances to get into the program. So now, there are basic ways to seeking for admission. Firstly is that you have to first look out for the program you're interested in applying for, which schools are offering those programs, and do they have funding in support of that program. One mistake most people usually do is that they just see a program, I like this program, I want to apply to masters in psychology, for instance. Let me use that as an example. And you just check which schools are offering masters in psychology, but you didn't check whether they have funding for that program. So it now becomes a problem after getting admission. You now start thinking of, how am I going to fund it? But you looking for an admission and also looking for funding is something that you must first of all, you have to do it at the beginning. You don't have to wait after getting an offer before you now start looking for how you're going to fund that offer. It is something that you must have considered at the initial stage of searching for programs. So the processes are quite unique. There are some programs where you have to just look out for the program, check their requirements, what type of funding do they have, and do you meet those requirements, basic requirements. Once you meet those basic requirements, you go on and apply for the program. So there are some other programs that you can start by sending cold emails to professors. They want to work in their lab, you're interested in their research, you search for them check their profile out, and you reach out to those professors. And you say, send them cold email. I always encourage people to send cold emails. especially code emails is very, very important if you have a low grade. For instance, you have a 2-2 and the minimum requirement for the program is maybe a 2-1, but you have a 2-2 grade. I mean, second class upper for those that might be from other parts of the world that don't understand what 2-2 means. So, and you send a code email to a professor, and you're able to relate your research interest, your research experience, and with that professor, and the professor is interested in you. Despite you having a lower grade, it can, that can be waived once the professor is interested in recruiting you. So you can use that code email strategy to get into the lab even before applying to get admission into that school. And with that, you have secured a funding opportunity for yourself even before applying to get admission. You have secured someone in that school, in that department that can speak for you even before you start your application process. There are other programs where you don't have to. They will even probably state it directly on their website or indirectly that you don't have to contact any professor. In that case, you just check, okay, this department, they have funding available. You just have to apply directly because in some instances, for instance, here in the University of Alabama, I know of 2 programs, like mathematics, for instance, PhD in mathematics, PhD in political science. You don't have to contact any professor. Even if you do contact any professor, they are likely not going to respond to you because they are not the one responsible for giving funding. It is basically the department that gives funding. So you just need to meet the requirements of admission and go ahead and make your application. And the department will determine who they are going to give funding. And most of such departments don't give admission at all if they are not going to give you funding. But there are some that will give you admission even when funding is not available. It is now left for you to decide whether you are going to pursue it, probably with alternative sources of funding or not. So it's very good for you to understand how these things work so you don't have to spend a lot of time and at the end of the day, you realize that you didn't follow the due process in securing that. So having a good understanding of this requirement, does the school need me to write English test? Does it need me to write GRE? Are there schools that are waiving English test? You need to sit down, draw out your map and say, okay, these are schools that are waiving GRE. These are schools that are waiving English test, for instance. These are schools that are offering application fee waiver. The school might be offering this stuff, but do they have funding? So you need to have, a plan of the schools you want to apply their requirements, which ones are you able to meet comfortably in your applications. So those will inform you as the basics. Those are just preliminary planning before you even start, making your application. Then another way also you can make it easier for yourself is that there are schools you already know people your friends, your senior colleagues are in that school. Maybe you finish the same school, you finish from the same school, and you study the same program. They are now studying in the USA in those schools. Now, you don't have to start doing your own research all over again. That is what they call leveraging on other people's experience, right? They're already there. You just reach out to them because you have a contact with them already, and they will be able to guide you, to give you some basic information that will fast track your preparation, your processing, right? So with those information, they are an insider already. They can give you more inside information that will help you, to make a better application and to make a choice of schools, to make a choice of programs. So those are the strategies. You have to be very strategic in your preparation because that will help you to leverage on time. That will help you to save costs. That will help you to make a better application. So I just gave you an overview, but in details of where to get this funding, how to access these fundings, I'll bring on Motolani to share her own experience, her own insights, which is totally different from mine, because mine basically was cold email that got me into the program that I'm doing today. I never need a professor from anywhere, but I just look up the profile. I like his research interest, what he has been doing, and I shoot him a cold email, and from there we started talking. For most 1 year, COVID came. Because of that, things got delayed. And after like 10 months, I got approval for funding, and that what facilitated my coming to the US. I applied to just 2 schools in the US, So if you are very strategic, you don't have to apply to multiple schools. If you are very strategic, you can limit your application to a few schools and still get the funding that you're looking for. So with that, I'll be stopping there for now, and then I'll bring Motolani to share her own experience and all that. Then after that, we can start taking questions from people who have already requested mic. And if you want to request mic, you want to speak, request the mic, I will grant you access. And also you can use the hashtag to engage with the discussion. Motolani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sunday. Can you hear me well? Because I'm using headphones.
Yes, very clear.
Okay, awesome. Oh yes, I think Sunday gave like a very great overview and introduction that really covered the span and breadth of the US graduate admission process. And I'm able to like relate to like multiple things that he had said when he talked about some departments having automatic funding, which means scholarship, and then some is not automatic. So some programs, like you mentioned, every student that has been admitted, and this is very common for most PhD programs, whereby every student that has been admitted, they get automatic scholarship because the research they do is probably being funded by governments, maybe like US Department of Defense, DOD, and other funding organizations like that. So some of their scholarship is very automatic, and they clearly state this on their website. So it's very important for you to like spend time on the school website you want to apply to see all this information, because they don't lie on their website. Everything is literally there. And another thing that, before I go into like talking about applying with low GPA, which I know is a concern for a lot of people, and this is something that is very doable. But before I go into that, I would like to mention the cold email that Sunday mentioned, which is kind of similar in a way to my journey as well. The professor that I ended up working with, I initially sent her a cold email, but I didn't get into the program through that. Eventually, I joined a lab. But these are ways that you can go about it, particularly if you want to do like a research-focused program, like a PhD, and many masters too. Many masters are research-focused. This is not just PhD. Many masters are also research-focused. You can just go through. So when you get to the school website, you can navigate to faculty. Most schools will call it faculty, or they'll call it research. When you go to the research column, you see the list of research that are being done in the department and the professors that are working on it. There are many professors in the department, right? Scroll through the list carefully and see which one do you think you're genuinely interested in. Because while it is very like encouraging that you want to probably like come to the US or other countries, but at the same time, it is your time also. You're giving these schools your time, and you want to make sure that it's a mutual beneficial relationship, that while they are benefiting from having you as their graduate student, you're also enjoying your program, and it's something you truly enjoy and you can grow from. Because there are so many schools you can apply to, there are so many programs you can apply to. Why make yourself miserable and apply to a school or a program you don't connect with? That it's not your true passion. So it's not worth it in the long run. When you have so many options, your options are like limitless. Especially now with the pandemic, a lot of people are searching for students. They're looking for researchers to work with them. So your options is like limited. So there's no point in even limiting yourself. So find a research that you think that you like, maybe 2, just to keep it safe. Start with 2, and then send them an email. First, you want to introduce yourself. This is how your email structure should be. And I think over the course, I might be able to like share some templates from my YouTube channel. I put the link on my profile. Please feel free to follow if you're interested. But now to craft this email draft is that you want to introduce yourself. My name is so and so. I had my undergraduate major in physics or chemistry. If you have a high GPA, mention your GPA. If you do not have a high GPA, do not mention GPA in that email, because you don't want to preempt people's mind already. You want to give them a chance to get to know you. So if you have high credential, here's the time to showcase it, flaunt it. I have so GPA. If you've done any test like GRE, I have so GRE. If you have low GRE or low GPA, skip it. Use that point to talk about how you relate to them. Maybe your undergraduate project, which everybody in Nigeria does undergraduate project. Maybe it relates directly in one way or the other to what they do. Or maybe a life experience relates with it. So you can start like this. My name is so and so. I am from University of Benin, University of Lagos, University of Lagos, for example. And my undergraduate research focused on economic crisis in the period of COVID. And your country, for example, Nigeria, is a prime example of a country that was greatly impacted. And this area of research kind of relates to what you've done in your undergraduate program. And so this is why you're interested. Then you want to spend the next paragraph to talking about what the professor does. I read through the website that your research is focused on so and so. In addition, I've also read your publication, because you can always find their publication online, which is free of charge. These are things that makes a professor interested in reading your email, because they get many emails and most times they don't have the patience to read through this. But putting these key points tells them that you've done your homework and you are truly interested in what they are doing and you're not wasting their time. And so they should not waste your time. That makes them interested, they want to read more. Reading through your publication online, you can find all of them are freely available. Reading through your publication, I got to learn a little bit more about what you do. You can also check, some of them are giving conference presentation where the abstract is online. And you can say, I also read your abstract when you presented your research at so conference. And these are things that piqued my interest in your research. And then talk about how you think you align with it. And then you want to conclude by you don't want to end the conversation, because you want to give an opportunity. Make sure your email is open-ended. Make sure there is something that makes them want to reply. I look forward to the opportunity of speaking forward to you regarding your research interest, learning more about what you do, and also for us to speak to determine if this opportunity will be a great fit for both parties. That way, you're not showing desperate. You're not desperate. You're letting them know that it's a partnership, and that is something they really appreciate in graduate students. Letting them realize that this opportunity, you've thought about it, it will be beneficial for both parties, and so you'll be able to persevere even when things don't go as planned, because you're truly interested in what they do. And that is how I think you should draft a sample email. You don't want to make it too long, right? You don't want to make it too short at the same time. And then in the same email, attach anything, maybe your transcript, if you think you have it. When I say high GPA, I take it back, please. I don't mean you should have 5 point about 5 point. That's not what I'm saying. I mean your reasonable GPA, maybe 3 points, and then make sure you're not misleading, right? If you tell somebody that I have a GPA of 3.5, they think of US system, because US system GPA is over 4.0. When you tell them I have a GPA of 3.5, they are thinking it's 3.5 over 4.0. So don't do that. So say something like, oh, I have a GPA of 3.5 over 5.0. Because people truly value honest people. And then you just make sure you're very upfront about your credentials. It's 3.5 over 5. They don't know what to translate. You can put it in brackets. Second class upper division or second class honors. I think it's called honors division or upper division. I'm not quite sure. But just so I have a second class, whatever the division is called, honors division. So now you're giving them context that this is what this translates to. If you have a copy of your you don't need to send them your proof of your GRE score. You don't need, just mention that they will probably believe it. You don't need to send them proof of that. And then send them a copy of your resume. You want them to see your breadth of things you've done. I think working on how to craft your resume for when you want to approach professor will be another discussion for another time. I don't think it's something we can cover today. But these are things that you want to do. So always make sure you include your CV. That way they're able to see things you've done. So another thing I want to say is that don't be scared of like, oh, this professor, I like what she does, but I don't have any background. It shouldn't deter you. Like I mentioned that my PhD, my research was focused on cancer research. But in my undergrad in Nigeria, I never had any exposure to cancer research. But that did not stop me from applying to them because they know that as an undergrad, even when you see US trained undergrad, although they have exposure to research, but they don't have so much. So you're not different than an average or a typical US trained student that has research experience. So they don't expect so much from you. They just want to know that you have some skills because skills are usually transferable. So they want to know that you have those transferable skills, that you've done some research. It doesn't need to be related to what they do. They appreciate seeing that at least you've had exposure. So don't let that like keep you from it. And so what I want to also talk about, can I keep talking, Sunday? I don't want to talk all the time. I feel like I'm talking too much. I can't just laugh, not stop.
You can quickly, summarize what you want to talk. Then we'll take questions. Based on those questions, we provide more insights.
Okay.
So that it can be more interactive going forward.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you for that clarification. So I think I'm just going to wrap up by just giving like one or two things to talk about if you're applying with a low GPA. If you're applying with a low GPA to graduate school, there are many ways you can go about it. One is by always including a disadvantage statement. Remember, don't put this disadvantage statement in your personal statement. Make it an additional statement. Even if the school does not have like a link for that, like it's not an additional requirement to submit disadvantage statement, email them directly that you have a disadvantage statement that you would like to provide, and you genuinely think that your story would not be complete without them including that disadvantage statement. And then through that, in just a couple of sentences, maybe 5 sentences, explain why you have a low GPA. Did your parent die during that process? Or maybe you were grieving like lost family member, or maybe you had like economic crisis. Things were tough to you. You had to walk miles to schools, and all of those things are genuine reason for you not having a good GPA. So talk about like you didn't have electricity growing up or in your university, and that is challenging. It limits the number of hours you can study. And so those are things that I'll leave the other things I'm going to say. So if probably somebody has it in the question to avoid taking up so much time and be respectful of my host. Thank you so much again, Sunday, for this wonderful opportunity, and I will hand it over back to you.
And thank you very much for those wonderful insights you shared there. I believe a lot of questions have been answered in the process, and we just need clarification and also questions from the audience who are just joining us basically. Let me emphasize that please you can use the hashtag to follow the discussion. You can ask questions there. There will be people on the audience who also have experience in graduate school application. I believe everyone here are not just prospective. We also have scholars who are in the space with us. So you can use the hashtag to join the discussion. And also feel free to share this space with your network so that we can have more people join us to leverage on these shared experiences we have. So I will be calling on speakers who has already requested the mic to ask questions, I believe. And we will use that to interact basically and make it more engaging. So the first question here is more of Africa. More of Africa. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question? More, are you there? Okay, I'll go to the next person. Motion, unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening from here.
Good evening.
Yeah. So I'm just like seeking for something like a guidance, no actually a question though. So I don't know if that's allowed.
Go on. You have 1 minute, please. Thank you.
All right. I emailed some professors sometimes last 2 weeks and then last week as well. So out of about 7 of them, and some of them actually replied and then said they are no longer, they don't have fundings and they don't take students anymore. So there is these 2 of them that actually reached out. One is from the University of Missouri. He said he's accepting students, but I have to first of all gain admission. Like PhD students have to first of all gain admission to the program. Then he can work things out about getting into his lab. Then the second one also said the same thing, and then he said he's open to chat more about the program, which I have actually emailed him about some questions concerning the funding and everything. So I want to know if you can at least, give me some guidance on how to, questions I should be asking them and how to go forward with it, like with this reply that I've given me. That's what I want to know if you can,
Thank you very much. Motorani, you like to take that?
I think you should take it because I didn't really hear what he said clearly. So if you can summarize, I can take it, but if not, I think Sunday might. I didn't hear what he said clearly.
Okay, Moshan, if I get you clear, you are referring to how to continue engagement with the professor who has already replied you, right?
Yes.
Okay. The reply is that he has funding or he will be taking students in the next academic year. What?
Yes, that's the reply.
Okay, so you want to know how you can continue the communication.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so Motolani, you can now take that.
Oh yes. Oh, thank you so much for doing that. Since the professor already gave you the go ahead, then you can ask him like, what model is it going to be? Some schools allow faculty recommendation, meaning if a professor wants to take a student, they can recommend to the departments that this student should be given admission when he applies. So you can do that. And then if he doesn't want to do that, they will tell you that apply directly to the graduate school. It will be at the discretion of the graduate school. So know what kind of modality does he expect from that? And you can follow up just set up. Have you had like a one-on-one conversation with him, like via Skype or Zoom? Now that these things are like very. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I only tell him Gmail. You just email.
Okay, yeah. So I encourage you to like move it take it a notch further. Set up time on him on Zoom, ask him if it's available, and then also give him the option that if not, it's fine for you to continue the conversation via email. And then ask him that what are the next steps? Do you go ahead to apply? Let him tell you. So you're going to know how to like take it forward. Because I think if not, I think left to that, you should just put in your application. It's not gonna hurt you, it's not gonna cost you anything. So just put in your application. And you can also mention in your personal statement that you already spoke with this professor and he's willing to like take. You can always mention that. So that way they have to ask him when they see your application, they ask for it. This student mentioned you. What are your thoughts about that?
Thank you very much. I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Hello. Hello. Please, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, Mr. Okafu, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity given. I want to make an inquiry about the funding of the team. I got accepted into Brooklyn College.
Excuse
Hello?
me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you, sir.
Please, can you mute yourself? I'll have to call you to speak, please.
Okay.
I've not called you.
All right, sorry. All right.
All right. Thank you very much for understanding. Emery, are you there?
I am.
Okay, please go on, ask your question.
The name is actually Emily. But thank you very much. My question is regarding having the required experience, because that has been my issue. I think most of the replies I've gotten from professors, from US professors anyways, is that I have the grades and I have taken the required subjects in my undergraduate studies, but I don't have, the research experience. And this is for MSc, not even PhD. So, because that's my question, because, you know, the BSc is like broad and it's not possible for me to get such required experience. For my undergraduate studies, I did a bit of entomology, and I'm not going to say unfortunate, but I was fortunate to be supervised by somebody who works with soil insects. But my area of interest is actually in insects of medical and veterinary importance. So when I email professors in these areas, they tell me that, oh, you don't have this, you don't have the required experience, but you have the grades, you have you know the subject, you've done it, I've seen your transcript, your CV is good. So I think that's my problem, and I would like some kind of clarification on that aspect, because I'm moving my ship to Canada now. I think I'm getting some kind of positive feedback, but I want to know, just want to get the general idea how this kind of situation can be solved. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your question and clarification needed. Basically, you have the research potentials. Most of the time, you don't have to have, the requisite research experience or publications and all that. Not everybody will have that as first onset. Like for me, when I was, applying for my first scholarship in the UK, basically, I had no research experience. I had none, basically, in terms of publications. I just had my master's and undergrad research. So that shouldn't be a limitation for you. You have an area you are interested in researching on. If you are a good researcher, you shouldn't, in most cases, not be applying for that program in that sense. You want to learn how to do research. That's why you're applying for a PhD or a master's program. Right. So you reaching out to a professor expressing your interest in their research is a way that you already have, you know what you want to do, and you have the potential to be able to succeed in that. So that shouldn't be a limitation as far as I'm concerned. So you just leverage on the potential you have, what you have done before, even though it might not be totally related to what you want to do going forward. But the fact that you have done something, you have done a research, that is an experience, and that counts for you, right? So it's your ability to communicate what you want to do in a way that interests the person you are reaching out to. So as you said, already, you are looking at moving your ship to another part of the world, which is fine. So, but irrespective of whichever country you want to go to, it's all still the same. Don't let research, not having a research publication or whatever, limit you from, maximizing the potentials that you already have. So that's basically what I will say to that. So I believe I made some clarification. I'll be calling on the next person. Okay, can you go on and ask your question briefly? 30 seconds. Make it short as possible. Thank you. Okay, are you there? Okay, I'll move to the next person. After you finish.
Hello, yeah. Okay, how is that?
Okay, please go.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for this, presentation and knowledge. Actually, the first person who asked the question has discussed what I intend to ask. And I observe sometimes when I send good mails to researchers, the feedback I get is oftentimes their lab is full and they're no longer taking any new students. And I observe some of the professors don't respond or don't give a reply to the mail. And my area of research is highly closely related to Dr. Motolani's research area. I even have a research publication. I have a good grade, and I do make my research about this professor before sending the mail. But I actually don't understand why some of them don't reply. I wouldn't know if there is something I should be doing that it's not, in my process. So that's
okay. Okay, thank you very much. Motolani, please kindly address that if you can.
Yes. Thank you so much, Okewo, for that question. I think multiple things. One is that number one is that you could be having red flag in the email you're drafting to those professors. So like the templates I mentioned earlier on, if that's something you're able to like incorporate, I think it might make a difference. Secondly, is that when you send message to professors and they don't respond, after a week, follow up with them, because some people are like very busy and this is a period of conference where they might not be around. So when you send follow-up conversation with them, then it could prompt them to respond. And then another thing is that when some professors don't respond, it's because they're not interested. And majority of professors now have websites that you can check from the university link. They will tell you if they're accepting students or not. And I think that's like a way to like start from when you determine who to go cold email for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Motolani, for that. D-Ward, can you go on and ask your question? D-Ward, are you still there? Okay, let me call on Deborah. Deborah, please go on.
Yeah, good evening from my end. Thank you for the space. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear, please.
Okay. All right. So my question is about this writing sample that they now request for application. Like I'm applying to University of Alabama because I feel I meet every requirement going by the department's website. But sometimes I feel maybe I should still email the graduate coordinator because I just feel like that. Not that I didn't meet all the requirements, I have a good grade. And I worked on this particular course for 2 years. I've been volunteering in social work because I want to like stand out in my application and experience wise. But now they are requesting for writing sample. I don't understand if it's something I should write to them about or just come up with anything, because I already have a co-authored paper in economics, which is my background. But now this is a writing sample in social work. I don't know what to do about that.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. In terms of making clarifications, you are free to to reach out to the graduate program coordinator in your department. It's always good to not to make assumptions about certain things that can heavily impact your application. They are always there. You can meet yourself while I make clarification of that. Yeah, it's always good to to reach out to them and ask, make clarification on what is required in the writing sample if it is not explicitly stated on the website, right? But if the information is already provided of what you need to write, then you can then go ahead and do that. But if you need to make clarification, feel free to reach out to them. They are always, welcoming. It's part of their job to, to provide more information to prospective students. And with that way, you can be able to, comfortably write a good sample. And if you also have a student who is already in that program, in that school, who you can reach out to also, in that way, they can assist you with how they went about their own process also. That can also help you to make a better decision. I hope that helps. And also, if you need clarification, there are graduate school ambassadors in different universities. As you're applying to University of Alabama, you can reach out to me. I also can provide you more information or link you up with necessary person who can help with that. So, Motala, you wanted to say something, right?
Yeah, can I just chip in real quick? I think you're probably getting it to be misunderstood. I think you already have the writing sample. You just need to send it to them. You said you have publication. That qualifies as writing sample. They just need you to send to them.
Or I have the same economics, but I'm applying for social work.
Yes, they just want to see. I don't think they really care, except if they say write a proposal for your research, for the intended research. Then that's a different thing. But when they actually a writing, it's a sample. They just want to see something you've written. They want to see how you write. So you already have the writing sample. Just send it to them.
Thank you so very much. And then Sunday, thank you for the offer. We really appreciate it. Just now, be your DM after the space. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your questions. And if anyone that have questions, raise your hand. I called you what the others. I think it's no longer ready to ask questions.
I'm ready.
I will go ahead.
I'm ready. Mr. Sunday.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Go on and ask question, please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to make inquiry about funding for Brooklyn College, the City University of New York. I have been accepted into studying the Department of Political Science. I mailed the department. Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, I can hear. Go on.
Yeah, I have already mailed the department about funding for international students, but I was told that there is no funding for international students. So I want to know how you can actually help me or put me through to get funding. That's my question, sir.
All right. So basically funding are facilitated by either the department, the graduate school, or through a professor or external sources. So those are like possible sources of funding you can get. If a department is telling you they don't have funding, there's nothing much you can do about it. So you just have to look for alternative source of funding, or you just move your ship to another school. So that is just basically the truth. So there is nobody who can help you to facilitate getting funding in any school if the school already said they don't have funding for that particular program. So you have to look out for schools that have funding for the program of your interest. There are more than 4,000 universities in the US that you can apply to. So it's not left for you to sit down and look for other schools that have funding, and don't just put your egg in one basket. Don't just focus on just one school. If a school is not giving you green lights, move on, try another schools. There are multiple schools you can try. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to start looking for loan, start looking for funding that will inconvenience you in the long run, when you can get scholarships to fund that same program in another school. So make sure you have explored all your other available alternatives before taking any decision to do otherwise. I think those are what I can do. I can advise you. I can't be able to help you to secure funding in any school in the US. I can't do that basically. So even here in the University of Alabama, as a graduate ambassador, I can only point you into direction, provide you insight, provide you guidance on what to do and all that, but I can't influence in any way. Everything down here is based on merit. So make sure you are not putting yourself just for that school. Explore other schools as much as possible. All right. I hope that makes some clarification to your question.
Of course. Thank you very much for the answer.
All right. You're welcome.
I'll be making more inquiry about the Alabama school you suggested too.
All right. No problem. Thank you. I will call on Alberto. Alberto, please, you can go on and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, go on, please.
Right. So I've been emailing a couple of professors over the last 2 months, and then I just noticed a trend that for most of them, that I get feedback when we schedule meetings, and then some of them do reply. They mention that I should apply to the department first and make it past the department selection phase, and then they will suggest to the professor. So when I'm actually indicate that I've spoken with this professor, and then when I make it past the department stage, then they will suggest that the professor then comes in. But then I think through some of these cases, at least starting from last year, I realized that people were talking about securing funding with the professor through this form of communication. So I didn't know that there was like another barrier where you have to talk to, they have to go through their departments or something like that. So I want to find out. This is actually very new to me, so that's why I'm bringing it up, and I want to find out what the professor. I thought when you talk to the professor, then it's right from there when you have a green light or something.
Okay. Thank you very much. Basically, most departments take funding decisions at the departmental level. Right. What I mean by that is you can reach out to professor, but the professor cannot directly, guarantee you funding. Basically, they will encourage you to apply, mention their name in your application, and when they are reviewing the application, there will be all the professors will be on the committee that are going to review applications, and then they will decide on who they are going to pick. And probably this professor needs a graduate teaching assistant for maybe one of the courses taken, and he will now remember that, oh, there's this student that reached out to me, he can recommend him, for that, and the department will consider you for funding in that regard. So for a professor to guarantee you funding through cold emailing is either if he has a funded research that he is already doing, or he has a grant that he needs a student. That's when he has more of an autonomy to guarantee you funding. But if it's based on teaching assistantship, which basically is the department that in most, or if not all the cases, fund that or pays for that, he can't give you a direct response. But he will encourage you to apply. That they will be considered, mention his name and all that. So when they are reviewing applications, he can be someone who can speak for you at that point. So I think that is basically how most of these things work, right? So not all professors will give you guarantee you straight up that they will give you funding. So they don't want to put themselves in that situation, and so I don't know if that's kind of answer your question.
It does. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for asking. All right, okay. I'll be calling on those that raise up. Cruz Missile. Cruz Missile, can you ask your question?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Sunday.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I want to appreciate your efforts. I've been following for quite some time. So I have a question. First of all, I finished my undergraduate program barely 3 years ago, and I finished with a GPA of 3.93. Yeah, 3.93. On the scale of 5. Then for US grading system, it should be 3.1, the scale of 4. So I don't know if I should include this CGPA while emailing a prof, or should I just keep it aside? I don't know. It's actually 2-1, so on class open. Secondly, I studied agricultural engineering. I want to do my master's in water resources engineering. I'm actually looking for a school. The US wasn't in the picture, but based on this, I'm actually diverting it to US at the moment. And I'm working on getting the requirements ready. So I don't know if how easy it can be for me to get funding. I don't know if it's that easy over there in the US. And my publication work is gonna be ready in a couple of days. I've actually submitted it. So I don't know. What do you advise?
All right, thank you very much for your question. Basically, US has funding for whatever you can think of, right? It's left for you to sit down and look at how to connect the dots. For you moving to water resources, yes, there are schools, a lot of multiple schools that are doing such program, including the University of Alabama, Department of Civil Construction and Environmental Engineering. They have that specialty under that. So you can look at that. So including your CGPA, for me, I always, you don't have to explicitly mention your CGPA in your code email. You can attach your transcript. You can just, your code email is more about you, summarizing your interests, your background, your interest, and your future research interest, and how it connects with that of the professor. So you can attach your transcript. If the professor is ready to look at it, he can open it and check. But basically summarize everything else that has to do with research in your email, in your code email. You don't have to include your CGP. Of course, you have to one, which is fine. So, but you don't have to explicitly state it in your code email. That's basically what I would say. Motolani, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, you have like a strong application. I don't really see anything that is like stopping you from flying. I think you just need to spread your wings and just go for it. And also, you don't even need publication to apply to this school. And so you have it to take huge plus. And so just mentioning it that you have a publication probably undergoing recently accepted or under review, you can just mention that it's just a plus to you. So you don't have to wait till it's out. And I think, yeah, I think you just go through like the things you made mention of, ensuring they have funding opportunity, which are things you can find from the website before you start to process. And I just think the sky will be your limit or your stepping stone. So just go for it.
Right, thank you very much, Motolani, for that. Okay, next person I will call on Philippe. I don't know. Philippe West or Miriam, something like that. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go on, please make it short. Don't need to tell us about your background. Just straight to the question so we can have other speakers lining up to speak, please.
Okay. Motolani mentioned code mailing the professors and checking their research and then leveraging on wanting to become a research assistant. But in the case of wanting to apply for education, MSc in education or PhD, that is educational technology, curriculum and instruction, how do you think I should make my application or go through with a cold email? That's my question. Thank you. So, I mean, since they are not doing a laboratory research or something, it's just paperwork. I hope you understand.
Yes, very clear. Okay, let me take that. Educational technology, you know that basically every program have research element, basically. And of course the research can differ. Some are more desktop related, like mine. I don't have a lab where I went to prepare, culture, do all those things that most people in biological, chemical do. But irrespective of what type of research your program is related to, you can always, follow the same procedure in terms of code emailing, right? So, like for the University of Alabama, they have a PhD in educational technology, instructional technology. I have friends who are doing their PhD in that program. So it's about you bringing in your experience, maybe industry experience, for instance, maybe you've been a teacher, you've been engaging, you've been involved in things that have to do with educational technology, use of technology in education and all that. You bring in that to bear, right, in your code emailing, and you'll be able to express to the professor that you can succeed in that program. And most of them get fundings for research. Most of them get fundings and all that. So there is no limit to how far you can go or how you can relate your experience to the program that you are interested in applying. So don't see it as if you are not in this particular field, just like Motolani is in. You can't actually leverage on code emails. Any field you are in, you can possibly leverage on code email as long as it is not prohibited by, let me not say prohibited, as long as this is not what the department or the program is not encouraged. They are not encouraging their students or applicants to do. You can always shoot for it. So I hope that answers it.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
All right. Welcome. Okay, quickly, we have a lot of people requesting for the mic. I'm going to accept you guys soon, but I want to clear, if you have already spoken, you can, move down back to the speaker, to the listener section, so we have other people come up. Okay, General Rootide, something like that.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Please come with your question briefly.
Yeah, I have two questions. I sent a code email to an assistant professor So she said she's going to accept just a single student next year. Then she said we can chat virtually during American Geophysical Union meeting in our school by December. And I feel that is a long time here because our school is going to close application by December 15, and then the meeting is starting by 21 or so. So I feel, should I ask her if I can schedule a Zoom meeting with her? That is my first question. Then the second question is for a professor I sent cold email to. So he referred me to another faculty member, but the faculty member has not been responding to his mail. Can I put a call through to the faculty member as well?
Okay, Motolani, please take that.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, just if you just send them an email, they don't respond, just send to another professor that I think you are more closely, which their research of area most closely aligned with what you're interested in. And I don't really think you need to like send, when you say faculty, do you mean like to the dean or chair of admission or secretary?
No, he's just a professor as well. So the man I sent mail to is the head of the lab. Now said I should he forwarded my mail to him and he should get back to me. But since then, I'm yet to hear back from him. I sent him the mail as well, still no response.
Yeah, do you try sending like a follow-up, like I said, like after like a week or so, if you don't hear from people, it's always courtesy to like send them a follow-up. So ideally, you should send follow-up just twice. After 1 week, if you don't hear, send again, and then just stop sending. Probably the person has decided not to respond. And as Sunday mentioned over and over, there's so many schools in the US for you to like get stuck up on one, so you can just move on to the next.
All right, thank you, Motolani, for shedding light on that. And please, it's not encouraged for you to call a professor. Everything should be through email. Communication, initial communication should be through email. Even if you have their phone number on their website, don't try to call them. Keep it formal through email. Then after initiating, maybe first call, Zoom meeting, if they now allow you to do that, you can do that, but don't try to do that first stage. So, okay, let's move on quickly. We still have a lot of people who want to ask questions, but please, if your question has been answered, to avoid repetition, please, you can just lower your hand or decline of your request so that we don't have to, go over and over the same thing. Okay, I will call on Bonnie Kutela. Bonnie Kutela, if I get that correctly, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, you got it right, Sunday. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have something over here. I don't have any question to ask. I'm just here to appreciate what you are doing here, and I really wish that we can have more of these sessions, maybe bi-weekly, each week maybe, so that we can have more people that are applying over here in the US. I just have some few additions from what you guys have been discussing here. So in order for you guys, for whoever is applying for graduate schools to maximize their chances of getting into grad schools, I think they can focus more into assistant professors that are, who are recently hired, or professors who are well established, that they have things like the labs and everything, because those guys they are likely to have funds. For assistant professors who are recently hired, they are more likely to be looking for students because they are also looking to get that tenure. For other people, for professors who have been there for quite some time, they have those labs, and they are constantly looking for students. But there's advantages and disadvantages for each way. But let me just give you a disadvantage of having a recent assistant professor. is, you know, you are more likely to be working, long hours because that guy is also looking for a tenure. So just get ready for that. But you have a very high chance of getting into grad school if you go through that path. But just know that you'll be working long hours. Those are my few cents. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Bonnie. I really appreciate that insight. That's very, very vital insight to share because most times you send cold emails to professors and they tell you they are no longer accepting students, right? So if you are going to be sending emails, you want to get response more often, you are likely going to be looking at assistant professors, right? Because at that point, as Bonnie said, they are looking to get tenured and they have a limited year period. So they have to do a lot of things, teach, do research, take students, get funding. So they have, most cases they have funding. So they will be willing to take more students in. But for established professors, most of them are not more focused in terms of taking new students, just like my own professor. But you're ready to work long hours, as Bonnie said, when you get into the labs and all that. But if your own aim is not, you don't care if you work long hours, what you after is to get the funding, focus more on assistant professors, and those ways you can get more better responses. Okay, let me call on the Ox girl. That US girl, something US girl, okay.
Good day, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you for this opportunity. So my question is, how do you communicate your interest in a field you don't have any research experience in? For example, I studied microbiology and I'm interested in cancer research. So when sending my first code email, how do I communicate my interest to a professor in that field? Then my second question is, due to not having access to research materials and maybe lab equipment like we have in the US, how do you transition into that kind of work environment as a graduate student?
All right, Mostolani, you're the right person to take that.
Thank you so much, the UX. As you're speaking, I could connect to many things that you said. They relate to me on multiple levels. Number one, starting from your first question, how do you send email to a professor where you don't have prior background from? You're coming from microbiology, you want to apply for cancer biology. It was similar to my situation also. I was coming from biochemistry and I want to apply to cancer biology. You just need to find a way. Why do you want to apply in cancer biology? For me, which shouldn't be your story because everybody should have a unique story. My story was that I picked up interest in cancer biology when I took a class in introductory to cancer. And that was why I picked up interest. And that was what I mentioned. So why are you interested in it? Just mention, you don't need to have experience or research in that. And secondly, talking about coming from no research background and transition into full-scale research is quite expected. Just be very upfront about your capabilities. When people are taking graduate students first year, they don't really expect so much research knowledge from you. If you have the theoretical background, they are fine. Because I mentioned, you don't even differ so much than an average US student that had undergraduate in terms of research exposure. You're going to grow in the program. So I don't think that should be a concern to you. And just find out your why and be able to communicate that.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's move on. If you have questions that have not been answered, as I said, please raise your hand. And if you are in a speaker, I've accepted you to speak and your question has been answered, please just move down to listener session so we can have people that want to ask questions. If you are raising your hand, I will call you. If you're not raising your hand, I might not call you. So, okay, so let me say all day seal or something like that. Seal for collection fabrics. Please.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, go on, please.
Okay, sorry, I want to ask two questions. Number one, I applied to the University of the Pacific and I sent a mail. There's a scholarships option. So I received a mail because I have 3.6/5. So I received a mail that without my CGPA that I would be entitled, I think, $15,000 scholarship. So I want to ask, is the $15,000, is it for semester or for the whole year? No, I'm thinking of sending a mail, but since there's this space, I feel like probably I should ask maybe there will be an answer to that question.
All right. Okay. 50,000 scholarship. Basically, that will apply to your all your tuition, deduction. Basically, for instance, let's say the minimum requirements for both tuition and living expenses for 1 year is 40,000. So what they are going to do is they are going to apply 50,000 to it, and you have deficit of, let's say, 25,000, and you have to provide that for you to be able to process your visa and all that. So if you don't have that, then the 15,000 basically doesn't help, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what it basically means.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Another question, please. Are there universities in the US that does not need West evaluation before giving official offer letter?
Yes. A lot of universities. Like, most times I tell people that West evaluation is not compulsory. There are schools that might state it that you need to do it for them to have an understanding of how your degree, I mean, maybe you have your grade in 5-point scale, how it translates to a 4-point scale. But most schools don't need you to do that. Like my school, I just submitted my transcript the way it is. They never requested for a West evaluation, but most schools might be specific about that. And what we also encourage. Hello, please, can you mute yourself? The reason why I encourage people to do that is to, most time evaluation can boost your CGPA in certain ways, when they do that. So it can help to boost your CGPA, especially if you have a low grade. But if you have a good CGPA, I don't see any reason why you should do West evaluation, except it is required by the school. I think Motherland, you have something to say to that.
Yeah, I just want to chip in real quick that so the West evaluation costs about like $200 thereabouts, excluding cost of sending. And so you can always email the school, even if they mandate West evaluation, you can email them if you genuinely have financial crisis that you cannot afford it. And most schools might waive it to you, because I've had issues like that when I was applying to I requested for it, and I told them I don't think I could financially afford it at the time, and they all waived it for me. So.
Yes, it's always, don't, anything that involves money, even if it's application fee and it's compulsory for you to pay, you can always email. They are not going to use it against you, maybe, we waive it for you, we are not going to give it funding. No, it's not, it doesn't work that way. So just ask. The only thing they can say, we can't be able to waive that. Fine. But make sure you ask first, right? And see how that can help you to save money. Okay, let's move on quickly. Okay, I will call on, for those that are raising their hand, even if you're a speaker and you're not raising your hand, I won't call you, basically. That means your questions have been answered. I assume that. So I will call on Dada. Can you call and ask your question?
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening.
All right, please, I want to ask a question regarding the code mailing. Please, when you're sending code mailing to potential supervisor, is it advisable to send to more than a supervisor in a particular school and for a particular program?
Most of the time, I don't encourage people to, at the same time, sending code email to multiple professors in the same department, in the same program. You have to be intentional. You have to be focused in terms of what you want to do, because most of the time, these professors communicate with each other, right? And if you are sending to a professor and you're sending to 2-3 professors in the same department, it kind of looks like you're not focused and you don't really know what you want, right? So it's advised that you first focus on sending to a particular professor, and then if you are not getting a response, after multiple times or sending a reminder or something, and you see another professor in the same department that his research interest aligns with yours specifically, you can also go ahead and send to that professor. But at the same time, don't send the same code emails to multiple professors at the same in the same department, it might not really be a good idea from my own perspective. Motolani, you have something to say to that?
Oh yes. So I just want to say, I just give like a caveat. If it's a department where they have multiple professors doing the same thing. So for example, I'm sorry I say cancer a lot, but it's just something I can most immediately relate to. If it's a department where they have like maybe 5 professors working on cancer, if you send email to 2 or 3, it's okay. As opposed to if you like send email to like this same department, this one working on cancer, this one working on liver disease, this one working on obesity, it shows that you're confused. But one thing you should keep in mind is that when any of them respond to you, let them know that they are not the only person you're in communication with, just in case if it arises in discussion. Well, thank you so much for this audience. I'm very happy to continue talking. However, I also like to mention that I'm also talking with so and so person. Just let them know, and nobody's gonna hold it to you at any level. It is okay, it is expected.
Right.
Thank you very much. The question is answered.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move on quickly. We have time restrictions. Okay. Dan one for quickly ask your question. 30 seconds maximum.
All right, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay, I want to quickly make a clarification. I was speaking with a friend of mine who got a scholarship, and he told me that it would be important for me to attend conferences if I want to make my application a top-notch one, because I am trying to apply to a PhD program. So I want to know how important it is for me to attend conferences. And also he said, while I was trying to find out which area that I'm mostly interested in as per research, so he said I should choose a course that best suits what I've been doing during my undergraduate days. For instance, I was trying to look for a course that combines technology and science together. So he said for me to have a top-notch application, that I should stick with biological science because I studied biochemistry during my undergraduate days. That after getting to the US, getting the scholarship and all of that, I can easily switch or kind of take a minor, he called it some names, that I can even look for another scholarship while at the university already. So I want to make a clarification if this actually applies or if it does not, if I should go for the research interest, the course I'm really interested in, or I should stick with something that is related to what I studied during my undergraduate days.
Motolani, you want to take that?
Oh yes, I can. I'm just gonna say like point blank, you don't need conference to apply to graduate school. It might be a coincidence your friend had conference and you got it, but you don't need, nobody checks for it, nobody cares if you do conference. You're okay to do, you don't need point blank, drop mic. And then for the second one, I forgot, what was the second question? Can you just say like one word, please?
Okay, the second one is that I am looking to apply to a course that I'm mostly interested in.
Oh, okay, yes, I remember. Oh, yes, sorry for shutting you up. I didn't mean to. I apologize for that. I just want to say, like, I remember your question now. Yeah, applying course. I'm just going to say, like, Richard mentioned again, there's so many schools. You don't want to waste your life, waste your time. Why apply to a program you're not interested in? We have so many options. Just point blank, go for what you're truly interested in. 1 year out of your life is still your life. Don't waste your time. That's just it.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma.
All right, that's answers it. Okay. Let me call on Ayodeji. Ayodeji, can you go on and quickly make it snappy, just straight to the question? 30 seconds, please. Thank you. Okay, Ayodeji is not there. Rufemi, please go on, ask your question. Rufemi is not there. Okay, Jago Bank.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Okay, please go on.
My question is, I think, directed to Dr. Motolani.
in writing a code mail, I would like her to just highlight the major strengths, like as a recently graduated student for who is looking for a graduate position in immunology. So just the major strengths we can write on for the code email. Then recently I was checking on her school, that's University of Alabama at Barrington, and I saw there is a tuition waiver for a conference, but I searched through the email, to the school website for the events, but I was unable to get it. Maybe she can add light to that. Thank you very much, sir.
Tuition waiver for a conference, I don't know. It doesn't seem to match. Tuition doesn't affect conference, so I'm not quite sure what to say.
Sorry. Application fee waiver, sorry.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I think my program is one of those very generous programs, and because they have so much money, they have so much funding. So this is the most schools don't even care about the application fee, which is why when you email them, even if they have a fee, they're always happy to waive because they don't care about your fee. They just put that fee so that not everybody applies there, just to cap people that apply. That way they're able to focus on those that truly wants to come to their program instead of reviewing like a million application. So yeah, I think my program is one of those programs. There is like a tuition waiver. If not, just email them. They're always happy to waive it. Most programs that have fully funded, that is clearly stated that the program is fully funded, they don't care about application fee. Just email them. Don't waive this way.
All right. What about the strengths we can work on when writing a code email, please?
Oh yes, about that. I think the strengths you can work on is like just communicate to them what's your research experiences, your undergraduate project, right? What have you done? What skills do you have? How does it relate to what the professor is doing? How can it be transferable to them? And also, don't overthink sending like code email, right? It's not something that you have to like really think, spend so much of brain energy. Like it's not a personal statement. Just tell them what you have, your grade, introduce yourself, your field of focus, your research, and why. They really want to see your why. I think your why is something that can distinguish you from someone else. Why do you want to work with them? Did you read their publication? Do you like what they do? Does it relate to somebody in your family died from an immunological related disorder or something? How does it relate to you? They just want to see your why, actually.
All right. In terms of code emailing and all that, she has already elaborated on that at the beginning, and she will be sharing more information. Just follow Motolani, subscribe to our YouTube channel. She'll be dishing out information regarding to all this what we are discussing here today. Okay. Let's move on quickly.
Thank you so much, Sunday. That's so kind.
Oh no, it's not. You're welcome. Okay, let's move on quickly. Let me call on Olamide Ish. Go on with your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations, Dr. Mo. Actually, I recently followed you on Twitter, and I've been following Sunday Okafor, Dr. Sunday Okafor, since all his wife.
I'm not.
Yeah, Doctor in view, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So actually, I would like to make an inquiry about neuroscience, PhD in neuroscience in the University of Alabama. So and I've already did my research about the school, but I'm still trying to know much about the school. I'm currently doing my MSc program in Abuan. So I'm looking forward to apply for my PhD in USA. Yeah. So
okay.
To know more about the processes.
Okay, basically, I think we've highlighted some of the processes. Basically, most information you need. Let me clarify. There's difference between University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, where I am, and University of Alabama in Birmingham, where Motolani just finished her PhD program. So those are two different schools. So if you are looking at any of the schools, for instance, the program you just mentioned, I think is more related to University of Alabama in Birmingham, right? Yeah. So so you just have to check through the website, see the requirements, see what you need to document and all that. The document most of the time is generic. It's basic document, transcript and all, CV, all those SOP and all that. So you just do those basic research. You can follow, as you said, follow Motor, and you can DM her if her DM is open, and you can ask more questions from her after this section. But basically, those are preliminary things that you need to do. Know what the requirements are, know what you need to do. Do you need to make a professor? Then start doing that, and start preparing yourself. And basically, that's what you need to do. There is no spoon feeding in this process. It's just we're providing our more insight into how you can go about it better. But basically, most of the work, of course, as you said, you started doing your research, is going to be on you to do, right? So I think that's basically it. So
yeah, thank you.
So quickly, let me call on Jamie Tokwe. Can you go on, ask your question? 30 seconds.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My question goes to Dr. Motolani. She made mention about low CGPA when she was addressing. I schooled here in Nigeria, University of Ibadan, which makes use of 7 skill, and I have a 2-2.
I mean, I just want to say, you don't need to say your GPA here in public if you're not comfortable doing it. So don't feel like you have to say it. Okay.
Okay. I have a 2-2. So, and I have like 5 to 6 publications to my name already. I don't know how to go about that. She said we can include that in our mail to them, because I have mailed some doctors and some graduate coordinators, and I think they think I'm talking about 3.1 of 4.0. But meanwhile, it is 3 point something of 7 points. I don't know if she can give more clarification to that.
Hello.
Yeah, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Mota, you go on and hello, please. Can you mute yourself? Mota, you go on and attend to that, please.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was waiting for you to call on me. Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I just want to clarify something that you're more than your GPA. Most graduate school admission process is holistic. They look at your entire application. You're more than just one aspect of it. And you also mentioned you have like 6 publications, which is like, I must say, it's almost rare for seeing people applying to this program with 6 publications. I didn't have any publication when I applied. And so I think when you want to send email to the professor, just drop your GPA. You don't need to mention that you're more than that. You can talk about the other research you've done, your publication, and highlight things that makes you truly shine. And even though when they see application, they can see that because they are seeing from multiple angles, they can see you're more than your GPA. Not everybody might be like academically know how to write an exam. I'm not going to say academically smart because that's the wrong use of word. Not everybody knows how to write an exam. And so it could just be one of your weaknesses and you have other ways to offset it. And I think you're just fine. You might, if you wish, you have a low GPA, if you wish to mention, you can include a disadvantage statement. But don't put this in your personal statement, right? But just put the additional disadvantage statements saying why, what contributed to you having that low grade. When you're an undergrad, did you have like financial difficulty? Or maybe there was a time you missed like a large part of attending classes due to some financial commitment or loss or grief. There are many things that define you. I don't think you should limit yourself to one shortcoming. So that's my opinion.
All right, that's very, very brief and straightforward. You're mentioning your CGPA. For me, I don't encourage that. It's not necessary. Don't mention it. Can attach your transcript. The transcript can describe the grades you have in related courses. So just go straight to the point and talk more about your research, your experience, your interest, and all that. So, okay. Let me take of you. 30 seconds.
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. I have BSc in biochemistry, then MSc in clinical biochemistry or chemical pathology. Please, can I go for neuroscience at PhD level, or should I just go for another MSc in neuroscience? Or I can go directly and apply for PhD in neuroscience. Thank you.
Motolani?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think I've been like those science majors. They always say on their website, right? They want people that they encourage people from related background. Biochemistry is as related as you get to neuroscience. I don't see why you should do another master's. You should just apply straight to neuroscience. I have people from my program, which is cancer biology, that came from exercise sciences. They just need to be able to have done the required classes, which I'm sure you have with having biochemistry as a major. So I think you're good to apply for that. Just go for it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let me call on Evans Ayeti or something like that. Okay, Evans, please go on.
Okay.
Question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My question is simple. I'm trying to apply to a couple of universities in the US for MSc in transportation engineering, but there are some schools that I've found out on their websites. They are highlighting that PhD is fully funded, but the MSc they will tell you is on competitive basis. As a BSc student, so a graduate, a BSc student graduate, I would want to know whether it is advisable for me to go straight for the PhD, looking at the workload and other things involved, seeing that it also has a fully funded option, that it's highly attainable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, it is very, very possible. I've done a lot of threads, tweets, YouTube videos explaining that it is possible for you to apply to a PhD program directly with your bachelor's degree. In the US, what they just need for you to apply to a graduate program is your bachelor's. That's the basic requirement. Master's is an additional qualification to apply to a PhD program. So if funding is not available for a master's program, go straight to PhD program. When you apply for a PhD program with your bachelor's, you don't directly go straight doing a PhD research, right? In the US, you will get, in most cases, you get your master's along the line before even getting your PhD. Even though you apply with your bachelor's, you still get your master's along the line. So go straight for it. You will learn in the process. You will improve your research skills in the process. Nobody knows how to do it before coming into a PhD program. You keep learning, you keep improving. So don't be scared of, oh, maybe PhD is going to be difficult. I can't cope. I'm just a bachelor graduate or something like that. So just go straight for it. And that's what I have to say on that. Okay, hope that answers your question. I'll make some clear, right? Oh, yeah. All right, we have a lot of people. Olufemi, are you there now? You want to ask your question?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Good evening. I've been listening and I actually don't have a direct question. I just want to talk about my point of interest and how I can start, positioning myself for a better opportunity. I'll be starting my national service next week. And I have shown interest in trying to pursue a further study in marketing, advertising related kind of course. So I just want to know what are the chances that are there for me and the opportunities that I can actually position myself for in Europe and also in America. So that's all.
Motolani, if you want to take that, thank you. Hello, Motolani, are you there? Okay, I think Motolani is.
Yeah, sorry.
I got your question. You just want to know how you position yourself for opportunity. You are still You are still an undergrad, you just finished?
Yeah, I just finished. I finished last year, so I'll be starting my service next week. I finished from a polytechnic though, mass communication as the course.
Okay. Just what you need to do basically is you have your HND, right?
Yes, sir. Okay. I do.
Okay. Basically, I know a lot of people who has gotten into master's or PhD program with their HNDs in the US. So it is very possible. Even the University of Alabama accept that most programs, right? So what you just need to do is to start looking for school. Now that you are going for NYS, it's a good opportunity for you to start looking out for schools that have funding for the program you are interested in. That's the first thing to do. So once you're able to establish the schools, the programs, then you need to start preparing your applications early. So before you finish your National Youth Service, you already started making application. You know, you can start applying for next fall. This upcoming fall, you can start submitting your application for next fall, right? So that's almost 1 year ago. And by then you will have finished your National Youth Service if you get an offer by then. So just start making those preparations. Those are the basic things that you need to do. There are lots of informations, resources that have been shared on Twitter by different scholars who have experience in different fields. So leverage on those experience, leverage on those resources. You're on Twitter, you are here, you have access to a lot of information from different scholars. So leverage on them anywhere you are interested in going to US, Canada, US, UK, whatever country you are interested in, their resources that can help you to achieve your goals. So those are what you need to start doing right now, okay? All right, let's move on.
Sorry, water poured on my screen, I apologize. I was trying to get
okay, no problem, that's fine. Prince.
Yeah, good evening everyone from Accra, Ghana at the moment. So I wanted to ask two questions. The first one got to do with what should be the determiner for wanting to go for an MSc and not a PhD, or vice versa, if the program of interest has opportunity for both. So there are schools that's, let's say, the program of interest that I have, we go on the department's website and then they only do MSc over there. And then there are others that they do MSc and then they also do PhD. But I think that has been answered. Now, on the West website, there isn't the functionality for a CWA conversion to GPA. So the university I graduated from here in Ghana, that's KNUST, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Our grading system is a cumulative weighted average, and I know that for Nigeria and then US and other schools is GPA. Is there a way I can get that done? It's been my headache. Thank you.
Basically, your question, I would say, I think clearly get that. Motula, do you get the last part of the question?
Yeah, I was also a little bit thrown off. I didn't know what exactly was the question. There was a lot being said.
Can you just summarize your question?
Yeah, I'm saying, is there a way to convert a cumulative weighted average to GPA? My school, it's CWA, not GPA. So it's in percentages.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So this is it. Wherever how they calculate it to your school, send it to them exactly. It is not your job to convert it, because when your transcript is being sent, they need to make sure whatever you say is matching. So exactly how they give it to your school, you can put a bracket that this could translate to. If I don't even do that, just send it exactly as it is. They can refer to Google on their own time. Just send it like that.
All right. I think that answers the question. Okay, we have, before we go on, I would like to bring on someone. I've been sending her mic, but she's not accepting it. So let me try the last time. Okay, I have a lot of people who are here who are speakers, but you're not raising your hand. I assume your question has been answered, right? Okay. Njoku, do you still have? Okay, go on, Njoku, with your question. Please, if you have question, I accept you. Raise your hand so I know that you are still interested in asking questions. We have a lot of people waiting to speak, please. Okay, Njoku, please go on.
No, sorry, please, can I just say something before Njoku gets on, please?
Okay, please go on.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that University of Alabama is not the only school in the US. I know it feels like, because both speakers are from University of Alabama related institutions, and majority of questions seem to be directed to that. I just want to say that that's not the only school. There are many schools. Don't limit your option to this.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. Njoku, go on, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Presently, I have two questions to ask. Firstly, is that I'm a biochemist, and actually, most of my research work were based on diabetes study. But I actually wanted to focus on cancer biology. So I've actually volunteered for working with so many professors in my schools and other researchers, and I have up to 18 publications with my name attached to it. Majority of them are based on diabetes studies. So I'm actually asking that since I wanted to go in for cancer biology and all my research work are diabetic studies, would that limit me, or will it still give me an edge? And also, the last question I want to ask them, when submitting your CV, is it advisable to put in all your research publications in your CV? Thank you.
Please go on and attend to that.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'm just going to say, having your research background in diabetes and cancer. So cancer itself, that's why it's called cancer biology. Think of it like biology. It covers a lot of areas. Diabetes is related to it. People with diabetes or obesity could become more prone to particular kinds of cancer, right? Like pancreatic cancer. So it is a related field. You just need to be knowledgeable enough to know how to sell your story, right? All cancer cells, they depend on the Warburg effect. They consume so much sugar, which is related in a way to your experience. And you just need to be able to tie the story together. I think you'll be fine. And also, they're not so fixated on the particular experience you have. They want to see that you've done so much. And I just want to say, you've done a really terrific job, having 18 publications. And I think it's something you should really, really be proud of. And I strongly believe it could make you stand out during the application process. And lastly, please, yes, include all your publications. You can just have just the PubMed ID. You don't need to write the entire name. If they're interested, they can search for it and get the full information.
All right, thank you. Okay, yeah, Njoku, yeah, thank you. Okay, right, let's move on quickly. I will call on Victor James. Please go on, unmute yourself, ask your question.
Okay, yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the privilege. My question is this: I'm actually a graduate of computer engineering, and I'm actually looking forward for graduate studies in the field of either cloud engineering, information technology, or cybersecurity. Now, I have actually gone ahead to actually evaluate my transcript with West. I've done that already, but I have one challenge when applying online. When I get to this point whereby they ask that I upload letters of recommendation, normally they don't actually include links for you to upload. They just ask you to either include their email addresses of your recommenders. And now the whole thing is becoming problematic. You keep reaching out to your professors always by email to send letters of recommendation. So my question is it possible I ask them to maybe type it for me? I have the hard copy, then I scan and upload it to the site when applying. Then I really don't have publications. I have zero. Then for GRE, I've not done that. Will that really affect my chances of getting full funded scholarship? Thank you.
All right. With regards to recommendation letter, most schools you can't be able to upload the recommendation letter yourself. It has to come directly from your referee. So in that case, that is what the referee has to do. What they will ask you when you are making your application is, you want to waive your right to view the recommendation letter. Like if once your referee approved it, you want to see it, or you said no, you don't want to see it because maybe there's no need for you to see it, because seeing it doesn't make any difference, right? So you can be able to do that as a way for them to guarantee the authenticity of the recommendation letter that is coming from the referee directly. So you just have to develop a good relationship with your referee so they'll be able to write a good recommendation for you. You have to look for a referee that understands you very well, knows you very well. You've established a good relationship and they're interested in what you are doing, for them to be able to write on time, write a good recommendation for you. So I've written a thread on how to get good recommendation letter, what you need to do. If you check my pin tweets, not my pin tweet now because I have another tweet pin, but I will share that soon on the Jumbotron. You see how you can get a better recommendation letter. Your last question, I can't remember very clearly what you asked for the last question.
Yeah, so my last question is this. What I said was that I have not done GRE, even though I'm going for cybersecurity, cloud engineering, or information technology. Would that affect my chances?
Okay, GRE basically improve your chances of getting not just admission. You can get admission without GRE, but in terms of funding, it improves your chances of getting funding. That's majorly what GRE is all about, although some schools are waiving it. But when it comes to a point where they have to make a decision, there are similar applications. They want to look for something that separates the applications. GRE can come in handy, right? But for schools that waive GRE, they can consider everybody without using GRE as a criteria. But if the program requires you to write GRE, it is always advisable for you to do that to improve your chances to put yourself in a better position of getting funding, right? So yes, if you have to do that, do it, just to make your application more stronger, right? So that's what I'll have to say to that. Motorani, do you want to say something?
No, I was just saying that his third question was GRE.
Okay, all right. I hope that answered your question, right? Okay, now let's move straight to the next person, Joshua. Joshua Mio. I apologize if I didn't get that correctly. Joshua, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. My question is with regards to which academic level I should pursue. I studied aeronautical electronics engineering, a 3-year diploma, and then I went on to work for 5 years. Now I want to pursue either an undergraduate or something that is slightly academically higher than an undergraduate. Is it possible to be accepted in a pre-master's program? That's my question. Or which program is best suited in terms of academic level? Yes, thank you.
Montana, do you get that? You want to take that?
I'm sorry, I did struggle a little bit.
Joshua, I also didn't really get your question, right? Can you paraphrase that in a few seconds?
Okay. My question is, I did study aeronautical engineering, a 3-year diploma, but I want to go for further studies. Is it possible to be accepted in a pre-master's program with my 3-year diploma and my 5 year of experience? or I should just apply for an undergraduate program?
Okay. Okay, Mosalani, go on.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you want to go because you're an engineering major, I could just relate a little bit because my boyfriend also studied aerospace engineering. So I think what I'm gonna say is that you already have the 3-year diploma program already. I think that's sufficient to apply for a master's in aerospace engineering, what you intend to do. I don't see any reason for you repeating an undergraduate. And also, the chances of getting scholarship for undergraduates is a little bit slim comparable when compared to graduate school. So I think just apply to a master's program directly. And I know many programs, or let me think about some programs and some schools I have in particular in mind, they offer full scholarship for masters in aerospace.
All right, that clarifies that. Basically, don't limit yourself. If you are not clear, reach out to the program director of that department. Lay your cases to them. Let them know what qualification you have. If it's not strictly stated on their website, they are always there to provide you guidance. They want you to come to their program, so they will always be interested to provide you guidance, further information. Check your document to know if you qualify for their program. So feel free to reach out to them. Don't make assumptions on your own. Feel free to reach out to them. They will give you more information on what to do. All right. So, okay, let's move on. Ajimotu Mubarak, please go on. Ask your question briefly. 30 seconds. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. There is not a question per se. It's just like a personal appeal or request to Mr. Sunday. I'm a fellow civil engineer, and I've been trying to apply for PhD programs. I've tried some schools and I've received some rejections, and again, I'm awaiting some. So I just want to seek for an insider information, kind of, from your department. If there is any insider information that you can provide, like a professor that can actually approach for the admission. I would like to work, in the last 5 years, I've been working on roads and infrastructures. And I have an MSc already. So if there is an insider information that you can provide to actually get across to members of faculty, and probably I could be lucky this time around. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your question. Basically, the general idea is once you are, or the general format is once you are interested in a particular area, you go to the website, Department of Civil Engineering, University of Alabama. If you're interested in my school or any school, for instance, it don't have to be University of Alabama. But for University of Alabama, you check the professors, go to under faculties or staffs, you will see it's there. All the professors, the area of research interest, what they're interested on, right? You will see a list of professors that are in transportation engineering related research or highway related research, material, pavement, and all those stuff. So you see them and you say, okay, this professor aligns with what I want to do. You can reach out to them. You can send cold email to them. If you then further need maybe some guidance personally from me, right, I can give you more insights, right? So that's basically what you first have to do your own personal research, find out which professors aligns with what you want to do, right? So based on that, you can start making your moves through cold emails and all that. So, but if you need more guidance, feel free to reach out to me either on LinkedIn, through DM, or you can send email through the graduate ambassadors profile on the university website. You can send me an email through that platform, and I'll be glad to provide you more guidance on that. Okay. All right.
Thank you. I've actually done that. I'm just trying to narrow down the search. So I think I will try to reach out to you through DM.
Okay, that's fine. Problem.
All right, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Let's move on. Anaja. Anaja, go on. Ask some question.
Okay, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
I just got admission into the University of Alabama for the PhD program in geography. But I was not given funding. The program director said there's not enough funding at the moment. Although I've been talking about advisor, there are some in this space. I just said, let me ask a quick one. Is it advisable for me to defer for spring 2023, or I should just wait to apply again by fall 2023?
Straightforward, the answer is you defer your offer. You know, there's no point you reapply next year when you can defer, right? So if funding is not forthcoming, the right thing to do is to defer the offer to the next fall. So that's just basically it.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. All right, if you still have questions, we have a lot of people waiting to be accepted to speak. But those that have already spoken, if your question has been answered, please feel free to move to the speaker section so we can bring on other people. Sophie Sayo, please go on and ask your question. Thank you.
Good evening.
Yes, go on. Can hear you.
Yeah, this is my question. I have I studied plant science, so I'm considering going for another course for my master's degree, and be something like information technology or computer science or something. I'm not be sure if it is possible or not, or if it is possible to even go to a different department entirely, maybe some management or something. I don't know if it is possible. That's my question.
Yes, everything is possible as long as you can be able to tie back what you want to do with what you've done, right? What interests you? Why do you want to move to a new field, right? Those are the links that connects what you've done in the past to what you want to do. So you don't have to be totally related to what you've done in the past. I've seen people that have moved from non-STEM to STEM, people moving from STEM to non-STEM. So it's all about the programs are interconnected with the advent of data analytics, research, and a lot of programs are connecting with each other. So you just have to find that link between what you've done and your new interest. So you can always switch to a new field. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Promise. Yes, Promise has just moved to speak. Okay. Right. We have a lot of people who are requesting for mic, but some have already are speakers, but they are not ready to speak. So I don't want to assume that everyone as speaker here is willing to ask questions. So if you want to ask question, so I will call on Sulaiman. Sulaiman, go on and ask your question.
Hello, good evening, sir, and everyone on the space. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to be on your space to be a speaker. I really appreciate it. So my question here is that I did some online courses through EDX. I completed the courses, but I'm yet to pay for the verified certificate. So I don't know if I can mention those courses inside my CV, maybe under certification. Thank you.
Okay, Motolani, please go on.
Yes, absolutely. I think you can always mention that, but put that in your CV. Just have like a subheading for that. The online classes you take or courses, you can always mention it, absolutely. And if you have like proof of them, you can attach it to your application.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Motolani. You can always do that, okay? Just have they wouldn't ask you directly, to provide proof or something like that, right? They believe what you say most of the time in this part. Trust issue is not a problem in this part of the world, but you always have to have that proof, evidence, in case it's required, So, but yeah, you can include that. Okay, before we move on, I'd like to call on, we have someone, a scholar who also have shared experiences, how she got, into
got into our program, different experience entirely. I would like to call on her to, to share her own experience so that you can also leverage on that to know that no matter your, your background, no matter your degree, your grade or whatever, you can always get the funding that you're looking for. So it's my pleasure to call Damilola. Damilola, please can you unmute yourself and share your experience with us? Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi everyone. How are you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, so I graduated with a 2-2. So it's just I just want to encourage someone out there that even though you have a good grade, there's really nothing you can do about it. It has happened, right? But there's a lot you can do to make it better. And I knew I had that grade, so I knew I had a lot of work to do. So I was sending emails. I researched for schools. Of course, I didn't go for top schools because I knew that my chances were limited. And I also worked on trying to get the publication, reaching out to professors, having different interviews, GRE, TOEFL, everything that will make my chances really strong. That was what I did. So, so that was basically my experience. I'm sure we'll get so many things. And I make sure that I kept a very good relationship with my professors. And if you're meeting professors and they're telling you, reach out to them later, make sure you do. Keep a record, keep a track record of your application process so that you do not forget when the professor says, reach out to me. If you can get the professor to accept in the program, that's like a 50% chance that you're going to get in. So, and I did waste. Yeah, I did waste because I knew I had it too, and I needed to compare my grades too. So that it can, I think when my CGPA was 3.36 of 5. So when I evaluated, it was 3.21 of 4. So and most schools would say 3.0 and above. So that was what gave me an edge. So, and I was ready to improve and be better. So that's just my experience. So if you have a 2-2, a third class, if you are ready to put in the work, you actually get admission and even funding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damilola, for sharing your experience. I've always said it, code emails can be a very good way for you to get into a program, even with a low CGPA. So there's nothing in the US, most of the time is, US gives you that flexibility. That's why we emphasize that it has, US is broadly in terms of funding opportunities and all that. They give you the flexibility, irrespective of your grade, or your, what you graduate with, that HND, BSc, you always have that opportunity or that chance to, to get into the program of your choice. And don't limit yourself, don't disqualify yourself even before the game starts. So put in the effort, do what you need to do, and you get into the program of your choice. All right. So I have before any freighters come up. Okay, all right. Before Annie come up, if you have question that has not been answered and I've accepted you as a speaker, please raise your hand so I will know that you still want to ask questions, right? So if your question has been answered, you can just lower yourself to the listener session so we know which people are left. We have about 30 minutes. I want us to finish up everything within the next 30 minutes. So, Annie Freighter, can you go on and ask your question?
Hello, good evening.
Yes.
My question is, okay, I did human anatomy as my undergraduate. So I wanted doing nursing as a master entry in my master's level, but some schools I went through their website, they were not having master entry nursing, but rather accelerated BSc nursing. So I'm asking, is it advisable to go for the accelerated BSc?
Okay. The focus of the space is funding. So everything we are talking about is, does the program come with funding, right? You might, but if it doesn't, let me remove this person. think it's still in space. All right. If your program doesn't come with funding, you have the funding to pay for it. So it's not about if you should go for this or that. It's about the funding, how to fund that program, because it is expensive to self-fund yourself to any program in the US, right? Even if you are from Nigeria or you're from any part of Africa, you're expecting. We know our background. Your parent might not be that rich to help to be able to sponsor that, and you might not want to take loan to do that. So if the program doesn't have funding, I will encourage you to go for. No. Oh, okay. I think there's someone that's interfering with that. Okay, so first of all, check that they have funding opportunity for you. So before you decide whether you want to go for that, all right. So you can go for whatever program you want to, but if funding is not available, it becomes a challenge. You can get an offer. But when
Hello.
Please,
okay, so, hello.
First of all, I will call you when I want you to speak. If you want to speak, raise your hand. I will call you, please, so we don't have interference. All right. So Anya, please, does that make it clear to you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right. You're welcome. All right. Promise, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Sunday and Motolani rather. Yeah, so my question, I have two questions, but they are tied on the same subject, which is the subject of language proficiency. I already have a couple of schools I'm looking into, of which University of Alabama is one of them. And while I was researching the schools, I was intentional about going for schools that recognize Nigeria as a country with English as the official language. That is, these schools waive the language requirements for Nigeria. But I would still want to know if writing an exam like IELTS and submitting the test results would still give an edge for admission into such schools. Because I was speaking to someone and it was like, even though I streamline my choice of schools to schools have already waived the English language requirements, submitting the test results might still give me an edge. And I really wanted to be sure of that. So I sent a couple of emails to the grad coordinators of some of the schools. And the responses I was getting were quite vague. Some of them were like, okay, most likely submitting test results might give me an edge. Others were like, no, it doesn't matter. I still remember that yesterday I sent email to University of Alabama, although I've not gotten a response yet, but I'll still like to get further clarification on that. Yeah, so my second question is that I have Portray University as one of my target schools, and
hello, Promise? Are you still there? Okay, I think we lost Promise there. Okay, for your first question, basically, it is subjective, right? A school waives the requirements simply means that you can get admitted without that, right? And having an English test is just a way to prove that you have that understanding of being able to write, teach, speak, in that language. So if the school has already recognized the country basically as an English-speaking country, it is not necessarily for you to write it. But if you want to write it, you have the money, you think that it's going to boost your application, they are not going to reject it if you submit it anyway. But if you don't have the money, you just focus more on maybe writing your GRE, having a very good grade in your GRE, and save cost in terms of the English requirements, right? So I think that is what to do. But if you feel like you want to write it, you are convinced that it's going to boost your application, yes, go on and do that. So I think that answers your question. I might bring you on later to ask your last question because we lost you there. But now let's move on to, if you still have questions, just raise your hand, I'll call you later on. But let's move on straight to Stephen. Stephen, can you unmute yourself? Or Stevenson, I think. Stevenson, yeah.
Okay. Good evening.
Yes, go on. That's your question. 30 seconds.
I'm pursuing computer engineering, and I'm in my final year. So and I want to continue my master's in the US. But unfortunately for me, I'm in second class lower. Yeah. So I get an opportunity. If I'm get for me get a funding with be my second class lower.
Okay, I think someone just shared the experience of having a second class lower degree and she's still getting to her program. So basically you just need to check what are the minimum requirements for your program, right? If the minimum requirement is 2-2, or even if the minimum requirement is not up to that, send cold emails. Does the program has funding for Masters in Computer Science, or do they just have funding for PhD in Computer Science? You just need to verify those information first. If that is the case, if that is established that there's funding for Master's program in Computer Science, then reach out to professors in your field. What area do you want? Why do you want to do Master's in Computer Science? Do you want to do research? If you are reaching out to a professor, you are more of talking about research, right? So it's not just asking for funding to pay for your master's program, because most master's programs are considered as industry-based. You want to go into the industry after doing your master's. So, but if you want to do research, you more likely going to be reaching out to professor indicating your interest to do research. So you can do that, right? So, but in the US, let's be frankly about it, most fundings are available for PhD program. They are funding for master's program, quite a lot, even in STEM, non-STEM and all that. But majority of the time, fundings are more available for PhD program, being the fact that it is a research-based program in entirety. And you have to spend more years in the university with the professor doing that research. So they are more kind of going to accept you to work with them. But always verify to make sure you have funding before even starting application at all. So you don't want to finish applying and you get an offer, you now realize that there's no funding available, and then you start to consider other alternatives that you might not be ready to take. So do that first. There are a lot of schools you can look out for. I think that's basically answer your question. So we have, other people. I will call on Oye Moses. Quickly, 30 seconds, straight to the question.
All right, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Please, I just want to know, okay, I study chemical engineering, but all my work experience has been on supply chain and procurement, and I have up to 7 years work experience working as a procurement professional, but I want to further my studies. So I'm just wondering, will you advise I apply for chemical engineering or the supply chain? I already have about 7 years work experience. So where do I stand the chance of getting better opportunities for admissions?
Okay, basically, any of the two programs you can get admission. That is not an issue, right? You have experience in one, you have your background is in one. You can get admission, even if you don't have experience in the other. You can always relate why you want to do the program, right? You can get admission in both of them. Now the question is funding a priority for you, or you have the funding to, the fund to sponsor the program irrespective? So if funding is a priority, now you have to now start looking at what fundings are available, which schools have funding for a master's in supply chain, or a PhD in supply chain, or a PhD in chemical engineering, right? Chemical engineering, if you are going for PhD, there are funding. Chemical engineering is one of the most funded engineering programs in the US, right? After chemistry, biological science, and others all those programs. Yeah, chemical engineering is like one of the most funded in the US, right? So those are what you need to consider. Funding, if it's a priority for you, you have to go where funding is available. It's not about this is a program I want to do. If funding is not available for that program, there's no point you applying for, right? So I will encourage you to do that first. And based on that, you'll be able to make a decision based on your career plans. You want to continue in the field of supply chain where you have experience, then make inquiry, get funding. Is funding there in that field? Yes, then go ahead and do that. If you want to go back to your chemical engineering background, you are free to also, move in that direction. The decision is up to you to make. You know yourself, you know what you want better than any person here. So I will encourage you to do that. All right. I hope that. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Okay, let me call on okay, Israel. Quickly, 30 seconds. Are you there? Okay. Samuel. Let me call on Samuel Passion.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Okafor. Thank you for this opportunity. Quickly, I just want to ask about how does digital skills affect your chances when coordinating a professor? For those of us that are interested in research, does it affect or is it okay whether you state that you are learning data analysis or something like that, or you don't need that, just go with your academic experience and you are good to go? So how does tech skills help us in our application? That's my question.
All right. Let me take that quickly. Basically, when you are coordinating a professor, you've already identified his areas of interest, and you've identified the skills that you need to be able to do a research in that field, right? If it's a database research program, you need analytical skills, probably say machine learning or statistical skills and all that, and you already have those skills, right? It will be to your advantage to mention that probably your CV or paraphrase it in your code email, right? So it's an advantage to you, right? You don't have to say you are learning it. You already started learning it. You already have those skills, right? You can write in Python. You can do that. You add that as part of your skill set in your CV. Let him see it. So for you to be able to state that you want to do a research in a certain field, it is expected that you already have some skills in that field. So even if you just state it in your code email, the professor look through your CV to see the skills that you have that can help you to succeed in that program. He's going to see that in your CV. So it will definitely help you to, be an advantage to you, because you don't want to start listing all your skills, things that necessarily should be in your CV. You don't want to start listing it in your code email. You want to make your code email precise, straight to the point, so that the professor can be able to look at it even in a few seconds and identify the qualities that can make him to continue the communication with you. So when further communication is initiated, you can then start laying all that necessary information to him and all that. So I think does that answer your question, someone? Okay. All right.
It does. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Let me move. Let me call Abiodun. Abiodun, are you there?
Yes. I'm with you. Thanks for this opportunity. So I won't take much time. So I just have a few questions. So I'm a graduate of I studied economics and education. So now I want to apply for masters. So I was told by someone just like normal student like me that before applying for masters, I should first go for PhD. And the reason is that the course I want to study is far different from what I studied on my BSc. is very different. I studied economics and education, so I want to go for computer science. I already have like experience, like 3 years plus experience in software engineering. So I want to go for computer science. So I was now told to first go for PGD. So I don't know if I will be considered for masters if I apply directly. And again, the other question I want to ask for is that before applying for scholarship, must I get admission first for a master's degree before I'll be considered for a fully funded scholarship also? Because there was a time I was trying to apply, so I was seeing something like maybe school or something. So I'm not sure. So that's why I'm asking.
Okay, Motolani, do you want to take that? Okay. All right. So your person advised you to go for PGD. Basically, that is not necessary, right? You have experience in this field of computer engineering for a couple of so that is an advantage to you. So basically, I have seen people who have degree in a field entirely different from what they. Graduate school is a school on its own, right? It's more like you are coming in, just fresh, just the way you get admitted to university for undergraduates. Graduate school is a school on its own. So they consider your application based on that level. So if you have a degree, you already have a degree, which is a basic requirement, and you can go straight and apply to the field you are interested in. All right, it is still related. Your experience fills in the gap in most cases, right? So don't go into doing any PGD in your country or something when you can go straight and apply to that program, and just ensure that they have funding. How it works in the US basically is that when you apply to a program, it's clearly stated that they have funding for you. What they do is, as they are considering your application, they are also considering you for funding. All right. So what usually happens is that graduate school in most universities, just like University of Alabama, graduate school gives you admission offer. It is grad school that gives you admission offer. So what happens is they will send your application to the department when you submit it, for the department to review it and see, you meet the requirement of getting admission. Then they will inform grad school that, this person meets the requirements, you can give them an admission offer. Grad school can send you an admission offer even before an funding offer comes in. So the department will now consider you for available fundings and see that you meet the requirement to get a funding, and then they will send you a funding offer later on. Some can come a week after you get your admission, some can come a few months after you get admission and all that. Some can even come together at the same time, depending on their procedure. So just make sure for US, you don't have to apply separately for funding. Some department will send you an email to say, are you interested in graduate assistantship? You said yes, they will ask you to fill an application, right? So that they can consider you for that. So, but make sure you verify to see how their funding offers and funding opportunities is being administered. Mostly they will state it in their website, right? So I've made like for University of Alabama, I recently compiled all the graduate programs and their funding, links to their funding information, the type of fundings they have for almost all the graduate programs you can think of in the university. So that is how to first start to know. But in most cases, there is no different application for admission and then for scholarship. It is totally, your application definitely is what you use for your that serves as a scholarship funding application also. Right. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Thanks very much.
All right. All right. So no one else is raising hand. Let me okay, Israel, go on quickly and ask your question. We have a few minutes before the end of this speech. Yes, go on.
Okay, my question. I am presently studying electrical engineering. Okay, I said I am presently studying electrical engineering. Can you hear me now?
Go on quickly, 30 seconds.
Okay, and I am planning to switch to control engineering of computer systems for my master's. So what is the possibility of that happening? And actually, is it possible to just have a course-based master's, not research-based that is funding in the US? Because I have seen that content engineering is very common in the UK, but being that they don't have funding, so I'm having to change my mind to the US, so having to build the electrical and just think that probably get a major in control systems. So what is your advice? How would you be able to get funding on a course-based master?
As I always said, most funding most of the times are available to research-based programs, right? So if you are going for course-based programs, you might be looking at, you might be looking at UK, you might be looking at other forms of scholarships like the Commonwealth, the Shaping, the other forms of scholarship that you directly apply separately to the scholarship and then you apply to the program. That might be a better route. But if you are looking for US, basically, most course-based programs don't give funding because it is not, the funding is not going to come. You are more of doing an industry-based course. But definitely there are exceptions to that. There are programs that do have funding. Maybe as a teaching assistant in the department, that can happen, that can be available, right? So whether it's course-based or research-based, there are exceptions to everything, right? So you can check. You just have to do your research. We can talk whatever, we can share the information we need to share here. But if you don't go back, sit down, search, do your own research, go to the school you want to apply to, check the program, check their funding section, see what they say about funding, what type of funding do they have, and then you make a decision. Okay, they don't have funding for masters, they only have funding for PhD. And then you can go on and check other schools. There are links, like if you check what I posted in the Jumbotron, you can see links of, I have explained a lot of things there. You can, get direction on how to search for schools, how to send code emails, all this stuff. Check my YouTube channel. They have a lot of videos I've done on different things about grad school in the US. So those will help you to make decisions. So you have to first do research and make a better informed decision. All right. So I hope that answers your question. Motolani, want to share some?
Yeah, if I can just chip in a little bit. Also, it's also possible that only be accepted to one department, you can get an assistantship in another department. Because some don't need your technical skills. You can even get some research assistantship that are not lab-based. They're kind of more of administrative in a way. And so it doesn't matter what your major is, which you can apply for. When you reach out to the school or the international student office, they always have this information. And that's something you should also do. So for example, using University of Alabama, my school, for example, right? If you apply to some department, if some department don't have scholarship, right? They don't put on their website that international student office has scholarship. So you might need to reach out to the international scholarship because University of Alabama, one of the donors a month or so donated $1 million. And it was his first preference should be Nigerian student because he's a Nigerian. And so, and those kind of information you're not going to find on department specific sites. So it's always best also reach out to the international student office and you can get some work position in school also that is very manageable. And one last thing I want to say is that I don't know if you've heard of the MasterCard Scholarship Foundation. They sponsor African students by providing them with scholarships. So, but just make sure the school you want to apply to is part of their list because they have some specific list of schools that they only recognize. So just check that. And there's some other opportunities as well.
Right, that's very clear there. Thank you very much. Okay, we have Luca.
Hi.
Can you unmute yourself, please? Go on.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted a bit of advice. For my case, what happens after I've applied and received admission, it's for an MBA in the US. with funding, they actually also invited me to apply for both scholarships and graduate assistantships. But now they've changed their mind, and my program starts this fall. It's a private university. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Luca, for that.
Hello, Sunday. Good evening, everyone.
Felix, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. This may sound funny to most of the persons. I'm just joining the this space, and I'll just quickly ask, please, can you give us a rundown of, because I've actually been looking at the UK route, but I want to go through a US university. I have experience in software engineering. I study computer sciences, and actually this is my first time. So I would like you to give me a rundown of what to actually apply to scholarships for the US routes, or you can link me up to any videos that could help me. Thank you.
All right, so you just joined this space recently. We've discussed a lot about that. I also encourage you to listen to the recording afterwards so you get more insight. For US, we've already shared a lot of information. Check the post I just put in the Jumbotron. There are lots of information that I can guide you on what to do. We don't want to go through the process again, all right? I think we've already come, there's no longer any question or other request from anyone. I believe we already shared a lot of insights related to graduate school applications and in the US specifically. So what I always advise people is get information about funding opportunities. First, as you are looking for school, ensure that the school has funding. And, you don't want to finish applying to school and then you realize that the school doesn't have funding for that program, So it's important that you establish that first before moving forward. So in final note, I will, ask my co-host and okay, I think Luca has something to add, more thing to add, to share with us. Luca, you can.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question. That's why he just.
Sorry, I said that. Jerry.
Interrupted me. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, can you ask your question again?
Oh, sorry. So I said what happens, like in my case, I've applied and received application. It's for an MBA. And it came with funding opportunities, and the school actually invited me to apply. But now they've kind of changed their mind, and I don't really know what to do.
Okay, they've changed your mind from giving you funding or something?
Yes, exactly. And the program starts this fall. Yeah.
Okay, I think what you can do, since they have changed their mind, you can't help that basically.
Yeah.
You just have to move on in that case, right? So I think that's just what you have to do, right? So and look for other opportunities. A school cannot determine what you can be. You can always right.
Right. Okay. We actually have a question. When you said they resigned their funding, did they offer you funding, or they said you might be eligible? Were you officially offered the funding?
No, the application, one of the interests, what made me really apply for it was because they said it was automatic. But when I got the admission and expressed an interest, they sent me the details to apply, and now they've come forward. Kind of like they've changed their mind. Yes.
They change. I mean, that's a strong word to use. I feel like what it sounds like to me is probably they said you could be eligible, and then when they got your application, then they realize you're not eligible for the scholarship. Can you just clarify with that? Because I don't think a US school would do something like that, offer you and resign it with no reason. You need to have done something I don't know.
I didn't do anything because they made me apply. They told me to apply for it. So
yeah, at times they could encourage you to apply for something we have this funding, apply for it. It does not mean that it's automatic, like you stated.
That was one of the pegs anyway, but that's fine. Okay, I'll check. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Before I accept, I think this last person I'm going to accept. Promise I tried to accept you back to ask your question, but I think something is wrong with your mic. It's not working or something like that. But you can use the hashtag, ask the question. I will check through that later on and attend to it. So finally, Comrade Ajala, can you go on ask your question in 30 seconds before we round up?
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Sunday, thanks for this opportunity. I would like to ask, I know most of the application ongoing right now. It's basically for next year admission. So I'm a final year student, so I would like to know, but I can apply now, then before next year. Of course, it's only this ASU that is delaying. I was supposed to defend my project last month. So can I apply now in anticipation for next year? That's my question. Thank you.
Yes, you know, when you are making application, you select when you want to resume, right? You select if you're applying and you want to resume for 2023, you have to indicate, okay, the application is for fall 2023. You know, when you do that, the school already are considering you for that. So definitely, if you know that you can meet up the time for that in terms of finishing your degree, getting your transcript and all that, of course, you can go ahead and make your application. Okay. All right. In that note, in summary, I will not take any question else now. If you have questions, just use the hashtag or space and ask your question, and I will look at it later on and attend to them. So I want to appreciate everyone that has been on this space. And in final note, I would like my co-host to, you know, just share final, you know, encouragement or insight, whatever she wants to say to everyone on this space before we round up. So, Montalani, please, can you do that?
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity, for inviting me here to speak. And I just want to remind everybody again that you are more than one part of your application. Even if you feel like one part is lacking, if you can improve it, fine, endeavor to improve it. If not, remember that these applications are being viewed holistically. They look at you as an individual, not just bit by bit. And you're just more than your application. And I just want to word of encouragement that I know the application process might seem daunting and so stressful at the early stage, but there will definitely be light at the end of the tunnel. And I hope it's makes worth the journey when you look back retrospectively. And so just keep persevering. If you have any question, I'm also happy to answer. You can follow my Twitter or my YouTube page. I'm happy to respond to any question that you have. And yeah, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Montalani, for that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your insights. And once again, congratulations on achieving that great feat at that age, which is commendable. I want to also encourage everyone on this space. You know, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, basically, right? Most of us here today, you know, sharing insights. We are once, you know, in that position where you are. You have doubts. You don't know if you are qualified, if you are good enough, and all that. I have doubts even before I started my PhD or started my PhD application. When I was doing my master, I was like, am I fit for this? Can I do this? Can I do that? All those questions will come in. It's normal as human to, you know, sometimes you doubt yourself and all that. But don't let your doubts limit you, right? Take that step, take that bold step, go for what you want. You have what it takes to succeed, as long as you are determined to succeed, right? So just put in the best effort you can put in, seek for the help you can seek for, leverage on the resources available. The internet now is filled up with a lot of resources. Any field you are interested in going into, there are people who are in that field who are sharing information. You know, scholars are doing a lot on this space and on YouTube and on different platforms. You can leverage on those informations, you know, to make the best application. And while you are on Twitter, you know, there are lots of academic information. There are lots of professors who share information on daily basis, who want to recruit students to their labs, who are on Twitter spaces. Even on this space, there are professors who are on this space listening to us. You know, you can leverage on these resources. You can leverage on this, you know, information, reaching out to professors via via Twitter also is a good practice, right? You can also, engage in what they are discussing, engage in their research, work, discussion, and from there you are showing interest that you want to work with them. And that's how you establish the connection, build a good network for yourself. And before you know it, you've gotten to where you want to get to. You've gotten the funding, you've gotten the offer that you're looking out for. And I always say it, when you are reaching out to professors, understand that they are not directly doing you a favor. It is more like you are bringing something to the table, right? Don't sound desperate. Make sure you are presenting your case in a way that we see that, oh, this person want to partner with me. This person is interested in what I'm doing. And it's going to be a mutual benefit because they want to also grow with you. They want to, someone that is motivated, who can contribute to their research, they can mentor also in that field. So you want to make sure that you are not just doing this because you are looking for a way to move out of where you are right now, but you are doing it because you want to further your career. You want to leverage on opportunities outside there. You want to build a more better, successful success story for yourself. And those are motivation that should keep pushing you to make the right decision. Because when you are coming from a point of this side of desperation, you are likely not to send a better email to professor. It might sound more desperate than necessary. But when you are coming up from a point of view, know what you want, this is why you are going to do this, this is why you want to do that, you sound more confident and you sound more, interested. So I encourage you all, keep on pushing, leverage on all the available resources. The sky is just, is just the limit. You can achieve whatever you want to do. On that note, I want to appreciate.
Can I just say one final thing, please?
And yes, please, Motulani, you can go ahead and.
Thank you, please. So why you want to sound, you don't want to sound desperate, you want to sound confident. Please remember to sound humble. You don't want to sound proud to professor. And finally, you can also follow my new Instagram page where I provide guidance on writing your personal statement, and I also intermittently review personal statement for people at Pending Dr. Mo. Thank you. It was nice meeting everyone.
All right. On that note, I want to say, see you guys some other times on this space. Bye.